For Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think. A few weeks back, rock and roll icon Rick Derringer passed away. And I know you may be thinking, why is that important on a sports site? Well, I'll tell you. For those of you old enough to remember when the WWF produced a wrestling album that was ironically called The Wrestling Album, the primary producer of that album was one Rick Derringer. Now, Rick Derringer also wrote the song Real American. He originally wrote the song for a tag team called the U.S. Express, which consisted of Barry Windham and his brother-in-law, Mike Rotundo, who is the father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. Now, once the song was heard, Hulk Hogan decided he wanted that song because he didn't like the song that was written that was called Hulk Hogan's Theme. So Hulk Hogan ended up with Real American and the U.S. Express ended up with something else. But for anybody who's watched wrestling over the last 40 years, you know when you heard, I am a real American, that Hulk Hogan was coming out. But the creator of that song and the person who sung that song was one and only Rick Derringer. Now, after the wrestling album, WWE, or the WWF, if you will, put out a second album called Pile Driver. The primary producer of the Pile Driver album was one Rick Derringer. Rick Derringer also wrote the song Demolition for Accent Smash, and he allowed Mean Gene Okerlund to do a cover of his biggest hit, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Neither one of these albums charted, neither one of these albums made a ton of money. The first album went gold, and Hillbilly Jim's song Don't Go Mess With a Country Boy got some airplay, and his other song Waking Up Alone got some airplay, and JYD was able to sing Grab Them Cakes on American Bandstand. But those two albums were pivotal to the history of the company. After those two albums, WWF created several more albums featuring entrance themes of different wrestlers, to the point where The Undertaker's theme was on an album, DX's theme was on an album, the New Age Outlaws, all of these other acts, X-Pac, all these other acts had theme music on an album. And shockingly enough, it's not being done today, probably because it's a little corny. But that influenced WCW to put out an entrance theme album. ECW had an entrance theme album. All of these companies were doing this because Vince McMahon had a vision and the WWF did it first. And the producer of that first album was Rick Derringer. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because after his death, WWF or WWE didn't even acknowledge him. They didn't put up in memory of Rick Derringer on Raw or SmackDown in the weeks following his passing. But worse than that, Rick Derringer is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, that matters because if you look at some of the guys who are in as contributors or as celebrities or whatever it is, Snoop Dogg's there, Drew Carey is there, Pete Rose is there. All of these people are in for contributions they made to the company. But if you look at the contribution that Rick Derringer made, no matter how you feel about Hulk Hogan today, that theme music is in your head, and if you've ever been a fan of the WWF or WWE, I guarantee that you know the words to that song. So, the fact that Rick Derringer's not in the WWE Hall of Fame is a travesty. Of course, he's not going to get in any other wrestling halls of fame. He's not going to get in Meltzer's. He's not going to get in the Cauliflower Alley Club. He's not going to get anywhere else in any other hall of fame. But if you put William Refrigerator Perry in the WWE Hall of Fame when he had one match on one night, but you don't put in Rick Derringer, who produced the first two albums, and no matter how you feel about Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, or how you feel about Hulk Hogan, the man, anybody who has ever watched WWF or WWE has heard that song and knows the words to that song. And when you hear the first bar of that song, you know exactly what it is and you know exactly who's coming out. That song is as iconic as the gong that you hear when The Undertaker's getting ready to come out, or the breaking of the glass when you hear Stone Cold, or the If You Smell when you know The Rock is coming out. Real American is important to the history of WWE. You cannot tell the story of the history of WWE without talking about Real American. And if you're talking about Real American, then you are talking about Rick Derringer. Rick Derringer belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame. I think it was a mistake that they didn't acknowledge him on the shows following his passing, but I think it's a travesty and an oversight that he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I hope that that gets corrected in 2026. Remember to like and share this video and subscribe to this channel, and visit the Eric J on Sports website, and follow me on Facebook at Eric J on Sports 1, and on Instagram and Twitter at Eric J on Sports. And for Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think.